I really can't wait to get this degree started and done so I can, live my life how I want to live. Firstly, I do veterinary medicine and it's not available in Jamaica, so I had to start, looking elsewhere. And in the US and other places, it's very expensive, and I found that, Europe, especially Ukraine, had a very affordable vet program. And it was recommended to me by my friend. She was doing medicine, so she told me they also do that, and the price was good, so I did that.
What happened in the run-up to the declaration of war?
Honestly, it was very scary because what I was hearing on the news was not what was happening around me. Everybody seemed very calm. Everybody was going to work and just living their best lives. So it was frightening in a sense, but I felt like because everybody was so calm, it was, I didn't have to stress that much. And then when it actually happened, I really felt like I don't know, it was a feeling I can't describe. It was very horrible because it's a scary thing. It's a very scary thing to see certain things happening.
When you were looking through your window from your vantage point, you were able to see an explosion.
I was.
Tell me what happened and how you felt when that happened.
At that point, I still was like, this is not that bad. And I was looking out my window, and one of my neighbors was also looking out her window. And in a split second, I look forward and I just see it. And I don't know, I don't think I've ever been that scared in my life. It's the quickest I ever pack up my stuff and leave in my house. It was just a whole lot to experience.
Which city or
I was in
location you were
Kharkiv.
at?
I was in Kharkiv.
You were in Kharkiv? Okay, and that was one of the cities that were, bombed extensively.
It's a good day. It took us a little while to get to this point, but it's a good day. As has been said, the plight of our students in Ukraine touched my heart because I was getting direct communications from parents, grandparents, and even students who were in Ukraine. At least 2 of them are from my constituency. So I was aware that these were not students from wealthy homes. These were students that had traveled all the way to Eastern Europe, to Ukraine, to further their education because of the quality of that education and also the costs, because from in the 1970s when those arrangements were first forged, they have been made available to Jamaican students at a much more affordable cost than would otherwise be available. So when the crisis occurred, the war started, and they were in danger and had to get out, I was, first of all, able to transfer an amount of money to one of the students for him to make available to the students generally to help them to get out. And then we decided as a party that we would like to do something meaningful, and we raised the Jamaican equivalent of 10,000 US, which, as has been said, we transferred to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs because we thought it best that it go through the official channels and be used and distributed by them. Prime Minister Holness, when he learned of our campaign to provide those funds, to his credit, joined in that process and contributed a similar amount. In fact, I think his amount was 11,000. I guess that was a one-upmanship thing. Anyway, we're grateful for that. I was, however, perturbed when I was written to sometime later by the ministry to say, well, first they said that they had been instructed by the financial secretary to transfer those funds from the ministry's account into the consolidated fund. And I noted that, but I figured that it would still be used to benefit the students. We'll recall, of course, that the government, having initially, through the Minister of Foreign Affairs, said that they were going to give a loan to students in need of getting out to fund the cost of getting out, changed when there was an outcry about that, changed that and said, well, the government was fully funding the transportation of the students back to Jamaica. And I was glad for that. So when I got that letter, I figured, well, okay, that's just merely a formality and it wouldn't impact anything. Then I got another letter from the ministry saying that they had a determination had been made to apply our donation to essentially reimburse the government for part of the cost of transporting the students here. And I objected to that because the government, having through the GIS, said that they were fully funding the cost. I didn't think it was appropriate, and I thought it was in fact very inappropriate for the government to then use the donations that they had received from ourselves and the other party to reimbursing the government those costs. I felt that that was the government's contribution. I think more should be done and should have been done, but we were glad that those costs were covered. But our funding should not be used to reimburse the government for that. So I wrote them in fairly strong terms, asking them to confirm that they would make those funds available to the students, because we continue to receive requests from the students, directly and indirectly, saying, help us, we have a lot of costs that we never envisaged having to bear, and we want to get our lives back together, we want to get back to our education, we need some assistance. And I wanted those funds to be available for that. Anyway, it wasn't me who went to the media with this, it was the government that went and issued a release, trying to spin it in a way that was, I think, adverse to us and in favor of them. So, you know, we responded and to set the record straight as we see it. Anyway, that is all water under the bridge. The funds have been returned to us as we had requested, and we're making them available to each of the 22 students as a grant for them to apply towards their needs at this time, whether it be educational needs or any other needs. And I'm very happy to have some of them here today to receive checks for their portion of that money, and the other checks for those who weren't able to come, because some of them are working and so on, they are here and will be collected or delivered to them.
How you're going to proceed in terms of which university in Europe, which country in Europe you're thinking about and your plans going forward?
If I were to tell you I have it figured out, I would be lying. But there are a lot of schools I'm looking at, some in Poland, there was some in Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary.
So it is during this period now, going into the summer, that you will be pursuing and you'll be making calls, you'd be...
Yeah, I've actually started my applications, but with the CSEC and the CAPE, it's a bit of a hindrance, but it's gonna be sorted.
Yes, and of course you told me when we were having the earlier discussion that your papers, your exam results and all of that
they're at the school.
were left back at the school. And you didn't get a chance to collect them, obviously.
I mean,
you had to just get
couldn't
out
run back
very quickly.
Yeah.
So you're seeking, you have written to CSEC or CXC trying to get back these results.
That's the thing. I'm just going about it the way that everybody would. I'm just ordering them. They'll be here when it gets here, but hopefully sooner than later. So.
Tell me how important the role of your father and your mother in terms of the support you're getting, along the way.
It's very important. I mean, financially, they had to shell out a good sum of money for school fees. Mind you, most of us just paid school fees. So they had to shell out all of that money, and then, I think it's really good that they're very supportive of me, trying to make my dreams a reality. A lot of parents would have just say, I'm done, go look work. But I'm really thankful that mine are very, very, they see the importance of an education, and they want me to be whatever I want to be in this life.
So you're contemplating then that in another 4 or 5 years, you would have completed your study in veterinary medicine.
Hopefully the Lord allows me to start in October, so it'll be 5.5.
Oh, that's a time frame,
yes.
About 5 years.
5 years, 5.5.
Wow. And when you complete all of this, you're thinking about coming back to Jamaica?
I actually am.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to complete what was the intention, I think back in February, when we raised this money and paid it over. And that is to try and help our students who had been in Ukraine, whose lives and education have been disrupted by the war there, and to give them a little help. And we would love to, corporate Jamaica and the government and anyone else, well-wishers generally, to provide some additional support for them. I have been in dialogue with the Chief Medical Officer. I've been in dialogue with the University of the West Indies to see, for example, whether they could be afforded the opportunity to do practical training. There's a word for it, I can't remember what it's called. This is the medical students now, that they wanted to be able to, while they're here, have on-the-job, on-ward training, so that which would count towards that requirement in their course that they are enrolled in Ukraine. For one reason or another, I don't believe that has happened yet, but this is the kind of thing we would like to see facilitated, and anything else that will make their current predicament a little better, a little easier for them.
I am Jordan Shaw, and on behalf of the Jamaican students from Ukraine, especially the ones who walked, we would like to say a big thank you, a special thank you to the leader of the opposition and his team for being a part of our journey from the onset of the invasion. He never left our side. He kept in constant contact with us. He encouraged us, he supported us, and it is rare that you find someone who is in such authority supporting youths to that stature, and we're really appreciative for your support and the work that your team has done as it relates to helping us. So, I mean, thank you isn't enough, but we really are grateful. Thank you so much.